Hello everyone on YouTube, TheMainManSWE here, hoping you're all doing great as always. And this is now going to be a very, very interesting video indeed. Because when we look at tier lists, for the most part, what you see thrown around on Twitter are top players saying, these are the best characters. And basically, that applies to a tiny and minuscule proportion and minority of Tekken players. Very few. And I stressed this in the beginning of my Season 3 tier list posted on YouTube. Hopefully you've watched it. I took great care making that. But it was tailor-made to fit what I think are the absolute top players, and perfect play. These are the best characters. So it's not very realistic, and it's, if you look at what is the Tekken reality for most players? 5 million copies sold. How many of those are going to look at the pro player tier list and feel that it fits their reality? Is Katarina one of the worst characters in the game? Is that the reality for most people? Absolutely not. And it's just common sense, Oh, on a tier list, Eliza is terrible. Kuma is terrible. But how good do those characters perform in beginner and intermediate level of play, where most people are? So that's always been the case to me, that certainly I can look objectively at perfect play and say, these characters are the best. But in the back of my head, I always know that Tekken is not only pro play. That's why I've always broken it down into beginner, intermediate, high level, pro play. And the intermediate and beginner, it's like this huge pizza. High level play is a little pea. Pro play is a little atom that you can't see with the naked eye, basically. So what is the real Tekken? If we look at the numbers, intermediate and beginner play of Tekken is the real Tekken. You can get quite philosophical about this, I think. But, so what I'm going to do now is do a tier list which is based upon the official, someone has compiled the win rate of all of the characters, which you can now see in Season 3, at the top, you see the win rate among characters globally. Someone has compiled all of the win rates of the characters, and we can now see what characters objectively win the most matches online. Super interesting. So now we're going to go by the numbers, what characters have had the most success online, where most people play Tekken. So, at the very top, we're going to have Leroy. So this one is not a surprise. He has the best win rate. He was just released, super broken, super easy to play, has attracted pretty much everyone who's interested in an easy win, and he's just at the top. He has won the most matches. But now, interestingly, on second place, and now I'm going to do second to third, we have Ganryu and now Zafina. Yup, these characters have the best win rates. And I'm guessing what factors here are that very strong players are attracted to these characters. Most casual players certainly have an interest in Leroy, but Ganryu and Zafina, most people do not have an interest in those. They have very low pick rates, but high pick rates among very strong players. Tekken top players, content creators, and they are probably prone to doing well with them. But also a factor here is that Zafina and Ganryu just released. No one knows how to play against them, basically. They've been gone for many years. And now they are suddenly relevant again, and everyone's getting blown up by them. And they have some pretty strong gimmicks, especially Zafina, and beginner and intermediate players are most of the time just going to crumble against her stances and pressure unless they spend a lot of time labbing her, and that is something that you more see in high level of play and pro play. So she is extremely effective against most people who play Tekken. And now we're going to continue. Next character is actually... oh god. Sorry. Where is he? Claudio. And then we have Alyssa. So yes, the character that comes after the Season 3 DLC of Leroy, Ganryu, and Zafina is Claudio, who has been with us ever since the Tekken 7 original console release. He has the best win rate. The best win rate. And I cannot help but laugh because I don't too often read my YouTube comments, but I put up a video with me playing Kazuya against a Claudio a few days ago. I was using Mixbox. And at some point during the matches, I called Claudio a clown character. And I saw that some people in the YouTube section were like, oh, damn you, Kazuya is more of a clown character than Claudio. Hell sweep spam, you know, insert the usual criticism of a character Kazuya. But why I called Claudio a clown character is because of something I felt when I played Claudio a week ago, and I won against a pretty good Steve player by only utilizing hopkick. Da, bappity boopy, da. Literally. And I'm not too surprised seeing this. It's like most people just fail to understand how powerful the Tekken 7 hopkick is. I think it's very cheesy. Among elite circles of Tekken, hopkick is seen as a joke, and people who whine about hopkicks are losers, scrubs. But to be honest, it's like, that tool is insanely fucking good. Especially in, again, like, beginner and intermediate. Do you know how good that character is? Where a lot of people have trouble punishing hopkicks? Hopkicks are minus 13. If someone is a little bit smart in placing that hopkick, it isn't too easy to punish. And especially online. Sorry, my microphone stand is... So, I just feel like I have to stress again that when they introduced the turn-stealing moves, as in Lily's Matterhorn or Devil Jin's up 4, they used to balance it around that, okay, you're Devil Jin, or Lars, you're super minus, but you don't really have to respect their offense because you can steal their turn with Lars by doing up 4-3. Even though you're minus, you basically go invincible because it crushes lows, highs, and a lot of mids. So you have a chance to negate their offense and their pressure here and their frame advantage. You steal their turn and you launch them. But if they block here, you gamble with your life because you're going to be minus 20 or more and you're going to get launched. But then what they did for Tekken 7 is that to make the game more beginner friendly with the new characters, they took this concept one step further. And these turn-stealing moves are now hopkicks. And this is the new hopkick. Katarina, Claudio, Chloe. Chloe's is launch punishable though. Josie. They have incredible turn-stealing crushing. Sometimes crushing mids. And they're only minus 13. I mean, do you know how effective that is in beginner and intermediate play? Where a lot of people struggle to punish, especially minus 13. So it's like, those characters, when I played Claudio, it's like, it's just, the game plan is so basic with the character. And everyone's so afraid of the hop kick that all the lows are free. Back one is the do all move. Long range, knockdown, mid, homing, safe, -5 on block, backs away after he does it. It's like, yeah, a very strong hop kick is going to do a lot for you. And so next up we have Alyssa, who again gets very confusing with the chainsaws, and you can very easily, she has built-in movement. Movement is difficult to acquire, where here you have a character where you press a button and she flies all the way in on you. Blam! Mid or low or high. She's very safe. You can very quickly retreat with the character as well without using backdash cancel. Again, very confusing chainsaws. Did I say chainsaws? Has a snake edge, which is good. I'm not going to talk much more about those characters. Let's just continue. Alyssa. Okay. Okay. Oh, sorry. Next up. Anna. Kuma. Fuck is he? Geese. Marduk. Again, Anna and Kuma are two characters that we always place very low on tier lists because they are so unbelievably unsafe. Anna, I mean, if you think Kazuya is a 50-50 machine, try looking at Anna once in a while, because it's a tornado of unseeable 50-50s that both launch. The low launches, the mid launches. And she can quickly gain a lot of momentum. But the problem with the character is that she always gambles with her life no matter what she does. So it's like, okay, so you can never call that a great character. And she has very wonky hitboxes. But you know what? In beginner and intermediate, where people have trouble, doing very accurate defensive play, and punishing properly, that 50-50 suddenly is not very risky anymore. So you have an unstoppable fucking tornado of unseeable, launchers and mid launchers. And if people don't know exactly how to deal with that, good game and low execution. And again, Kuma. Again, we all say he's terrible, but where most people play, beginner, intermediate, well, his gimmicks are pretty strong. He's a very unorthodox matchup with super wonky hitboxes and some pretty weird crushing for a huge character and some just very weird and effective gimmicks. So again, every time a Kuma player might beat you online and he sends you a message saying, I beat you with a low tier crap character. It's like, no, that's not the truth. For most people, that's a super difficult matchup to defend against. Very, very strong gimmicks, and very few Tekken players will ever sit down with Kuma and lab the character for 20 hours straight. And it certainly doesn't help that you see him quite seldom. So what you are seeing is exactly what I described in my Season 3 tier list, that you put Kuma at the bottom and you put Kazuya towards the top, but it's like, what we're doing here applies to 5 people. For 5 million people, whoop, it's the complete opposite. It's the complete opposite. It's like Akuma, Kazumi, Kazuya, Devil Jin, incredible characters, among the best if you're super fucking good at Tekken fundamentals. Most people are not going to do very well with those characters. Whereas with a character like Kuma, can many times cover for a lack of fundamentals due to the tricks he employs. And that's the difference. But again, to stress again, Kuma, obvious, just so people, I've stressed this a million times, but just so people don't whine, yes, winning Tekken World Tour with Kuma is obviously super fucking difficult because those people know the matchup. But what we're talking about today here is the big pizza or mountain of players who play Tekken. And this is their tier list, objectively. And Gigas has a very high win rate. I'm surprised to see that, considering he's so difficult to play. But no, wait, you can cheese like crazy with him. Don't get me wrong, he can be super fucking cheesy. And most people have no idea how to deal with him. No idea whatsoever. Marduk has his tackle. But let's just proceed with the list. I don't want to talk for too long. This just keeps getting better. Yep. So, officially, let's see. We're at now top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Negan makes it into the top 10. I've always said he was weak in season 2, but in season 3 is really good. And very easy to play. And that certainly helps. And then you have Lucky Chloe. Oh, Lucky Chloe players. Oh, she's terrible. Garbage character. Bad range. You know, low poke damage. We need a launch to do the big damage. And that's all objectively true. But how many people know how to counter Lucky Chloe? You can fit them into my couch, for God's sake, that I have right here. 3 people fit into that couch. 3 people know how to counter Lucky Chloe. So isn't it terrible that we always get so lost into that whole thing? Oh, Lucky Chloe sucks because she's hard to win Evo with. How does that apply to someone in green ranks or yellow ranks? Who has Lucky Chloe doing 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and they just explode all over the place. And it's like, and the Lucky Chloe player writes, oh, she's a bad character. She's a bad, you just lost to a low tier character. It's such a limiting viewpoint to only look at what works at Evo. So limiting. And then of course you have Panda, which is Kuma number 2, doing really well. And look at that. Gigas. And this one has me, I gotta say, pretty shocked, because that is a bad character. But what is his greatest strength? No one on Earth, not even anyone I can fit into my couch here, no one on planet Earth knows how to deal with Gigas. No one. Not a single person knows how to deal with Gigas. And that is his biggest strength. When I played with him online, I have a pretty good Jin, I think. But, and I encounter the same opponents quite often. But many of the opponents I would face with with Gigas, where I would just breeze them over, I would just slaughter them. They would give me a lot of trouble when I played Jin. And Jin is 3 times as good as Gigas. But it was because they know the Jin matchup very, very well. But with Gigas, I was getting away with a lot of cheap shit because they've never seen the character before. So I guess I think this is an instance of very, very few people giving him a chance, and the people who pick him up are maybe people who have stronger fundamentals. But I don't know, to be honest. He's also easy in the way that long jab range, down forward 1, easy to punish with, 1, 2, and down 2, pretty much infinite range. So yeah, certainly very interesting here. Yeah, okay, and then Where are you? I can't even see. There, in the very corners. So, is anyone surprised? Is anyone surprised? No. I'm not going to comment on that one. We're just going to continue. Okay. So we just added Eliza, Eddie, Katarina, Bob, Julia, Jack, and Nina. All characters who have very, very easy, very, very easy. I don't want to generalize about a lot of characters here, but it is quite easy to build strong offense that puts a lot of requirements on your opponent's defense, playing as Eddie. It's not too hard to string some of his stuff together, but again, dealing with it, exact same with Nina, Julia, Bob, Eliza, you know. Eliza players always saying, oh, she's so terrible, give her buffs, give her buffs. And of course, they are completely blinded, only looking at professional level of play. They want her to do better in professional level of play. And my heart goes out to them somewhat, you know. On paper, she's a very bad character. But what that character does to people who don't know the matchup, it's some of the most obnoxious stuff in Tekken. And just the fact that you never see her, again, it's this problem where you lab the character for 3 hours, and then you don't see her for several months, and then you run into her and you're like, oh, how did I do this again? And you get killed. And then there's just too few people playing the character. But so let's keep going. Oh, this is interesting. And here I have to say I'm quite surprised seeing Noctis. You might say Paul as well, but Noctis that low is a little bit weird. But I think it's because he doesn't have very effective strings. If you know what you're doing, you can keep people away with strong movement and his big swings. But it gets problematic as soon as people get close because you don't have a dick jab. And again, people like to shit on Paul and think that he's one of the absolute easiest characters that gets the most wins. But yeah, he has an obnoxious 50-50 in Death Fist and Demo Man, especially when people fail to punish it. He has the hop kicks, he has a cheesy down for it too. But I think he puts... I think more stress on your technical skill than many characters, as you have to be able to do the demo man, and you have to be able to do quarter circle forwards and quarter circle backwards. And let's just face it, with many of the characters on this list, you don't have to do that stuff. You can just press a button. Okay. Where are you? Okay, so that's where Aquaman's up. You know, the character most people, I think, want to put in the top 1 these days of Tekken 7. He's that low. Very hard character to do well with. Feng Wei is also low. Armor King is pretty low. Because now we're at... Now we're in the bottom half of the win rates. So this is where it's starting to get bad. Miguel is not doing well. Akuma, again, very hard to do well with. Fengwei is not doing too well. Armor King, highly technical character, but just doesn't have anything to show for it, basically. So let's keep going. Let's see. But this one, I have to say, surprises me quite a bit. But again, not really. Isn't it pretty shocking to see Hwoarang here? Considering how effective Hwoarang spam is. But you know what? This was actually demonstrated to us not too long ago. Remember when Forsen, when he played Tekken 7 for a few days, you'll remember he played Katarina, and with but I think it was like 0 practice. He took her from beginner to Juggernaut, I think it was. And was this even in season 1? Did he get to Orange? And then, because she's the easiest character in the game, I think. And that's why you see her pretty high on this list. But did you know, okay, it was season 2, thank you. Orange, she made it to Orange. But did you know that after having played Katarina and accumulated some matches online, you know, playing some Tekken, after that experience, when he has suddenly a little bit of Tekken experience, he tries Hwoarang, and he basically struggles to make it to light blue ranks. So again, we all see Hwoarang as very easy, but I don't. A lot of people do, but I don't. But here you have an interesting experiment in that first character he plays, just hop kicks, 4-4-4, hard hitting lows, no one's punishing, very simple flowcharts, 1-1-2, down forward 4, that counter hit knee launcher. He makes it to light blue ranks, green ranks, yellow ranks, orange ranks. With Hwoarang, which he plays after, struggles with light blue. So again, you have to evaluate a little bit how you look at Hwoarang and understand that all those mix-ups he has, it can be pretty fucking confusing for the guy using Hwoarang as well. And there actually is some execution involved. And how effective is it in Tekken to have a button with Katarina, upward 4-4, that covers the entire stage, basically, and launches them? The Hwoarang player has to get in. And when you are in beginner and intermediate ranks and you have a Katarina doing big sweeps and hop kicks and counter hit 4s that hit from across the stage, getting in to do your flamingo spam is certainly not as easy as it sounds. So, yeah. And again, it's just, you can see on paper, like, how many moves do you need to be effective with Katarina in beginner and intermediate ranks? 5 moves. How many moves will you need with Hwoarang to do the same thing? To be equally as effective? It's not going to be 5 moves. So it's food for thought. Food for thought. So we will continue. Oh, this is already half an hour. Christ. I thought I had some pretty speedy momentum here. Let's see. Okay, I already placed chain. I just have to double check that I did this accurately. Yes. Right, so Heihachi, very very low. He's the easy. Him and Devil Jin are the easiest Mishimas, arguably. Heihachi, you can Unga Bunga with him quite successfully, but he's still a Mishima, so he's still super fucking hard. Relies too much on movement, electrics. Can't punish sweeps properly in beginner and intermediate, because how many people know how to crouch cancel electric? Certainly these days you have while standing free 1+2, but that's not very easy either, doing the follow-up hell sweep. Brian, being very low, is a huge shock to a lot of people because they think the character, all you have to do is orbital or snake edge, but he's easily one of the toughest characters to play. Easily one of the toughest. Like, honestly, I challenge anyone who thinks he's a scrub character to try Brian. Try Brian, you know. Just go for it. You know, if you've made it to Genbu with Katarina, see if you can as easily hit that rank with Brian. I can promise you, you'll maybe reach green ranks, and then you'll start scratching your head and just go like, this character doesn't work. But I have to say, I'm so surprised seeing Lei so low. Almost the king of gimmicks. See him very seldom, certainly helps. Why? He's so low. I gotta say, I'm a little bit surprised with that placing. But again, no one plays Lei. No one. I know 2 people who play Lei in Europe. It's all times. Harmony, what's his name? I think, again, it's one of those characters where... Yeah, what is going on with Lei? What is going on? Oh, Dustiel plays Lei. Thank you. We have 3 of them. Harmonica. Yeah, I'm very surprised with that one. Not surprised. Slightly surprised, I have to say. I gotta say slightly surprised on that one. But, I mean, there is some ability that goes into the throws. It's like here, where a lot of characters at the top favor very little execution. With King, as much as people like to shit on a character, it is not too easy to place giant swings, tombstones, and execute them very quickly. There is some execution that goes into that. And King players who face any of these characters, Kuma, Anna, Alisa, Zafina, Eliza, Eddie, Xiaoyu, they have no idea what to do. Because suddenly all of those throws are negated by crouching stances and strings and hop kicks. But I'm still surprised, I gotta say that. Dragunov, I'm also surprised that he's so low. But probably a character that attracts... I don't know. Maybe a character that just works better in more competent hands. Josie is also very low. Soup, quite fucking easy to play. Has a lot of crushing. Magic 4, down for 2 hop kick. All crushes like crazy. I'm super surprised. I would have placed her higher on this list. I would have placed her higher. So, B. Mueko, thank you so much for subbing, and that goes to Mysterio as well, thank you. Lucius, Leo Lover, thanks for a donation, man, thank you. So next characters are Leo doing terribly. Law is doing terribly, which is weird to me. Asuka is doing terribly, which I don't understand at all because the character pretty much plays itself. How are Asuka players doing this poorly? I said, what? I don't, yeah, I have no idea. I would honestly, I thought that character would be towards the top. Let's just continue. On Kazumi, this one is not surprising, considering the difficulty and how she's all about fundamentals, basically. Okay, so we are now at the very fucking bottom. This is D tier, so this is the bottom 6 characters. Those are the characters that have the absolute worst win rates in Tekken. Well, Tekken 7. They've done the absolute worst. But the best of the bunch is Kazuya, who a lot of people associate with spam hell sweeps and think that that's an easy, that's your key to becoming a Tekken God Prime with the character. But again, yeah, you need more than that. Xiaoyu at the very bottom I find surprising considering how hard she is to play against and how much responsibility she puts on to the opponent. The opponent has to be, very strong defensively to handle her. But Xiaoyu players, as you can see, don't have high win rates. They're doing poorly. And certainly there is some complexity to finding the moves that work, constructing good flowcharts. You need to utilize her punishment. She has some pretty good punishment. You do have to know when to place that Art of Phoenix to maximize its use. Yeah. Xiaoyu players are struggling, man. They're struggling. I thought they were going to do better. Devil Jing being at the bottom, not too surprising. Very, very difficult. Does have up 4 though. Should help a lot in beginner and intermediate, but still Devil Jin doing terribly. Steve, oh god, this is so far from surprising. I don't know what to say. Pretty much tailor-made to be a tournament character. This is it. One of the most complicated characters. Does not fit at all beginner and intermediate play. This is what you want in beginner and intermediate. Anna and Katarina. Super high damage and high risk. Unga Bunga, 50-50s with 0 execution. And big hop kicks and big strings. That's what you want. And that's the complete opposite of Steve. Basically doesn't have a 50-50. Relies solely as a boxer on timing. Back one. Strong counter hit instinct. Strong spacing. Just very strong reads and very strong defensive capability. So yeah, he's literally constructed to be a tournament character. He's not a beginner intermediate character. And then you have Jin. This is like the world is upside down. In my season 3 tier list, I put him in like top 3. I think I put him in top 3. I think it was Leroy, Akuma, and Jin. I think was my top 3. Absolutely one of the best characters on paper. But so how are Jin players doing out in the world? They're getting completely fucking stomped. Completely fucking molested. So again, if you think Jin is, piss easy to play, nope. And the character that does the absolute worst is Yoshimitsu. Again, a character... I mean, this one shocks the most, I have to say. This one is, my god, do you have to spend a long time labbing setups and learning about all of the weird properties of his attacks. Spamming flash. Well, there is more to it. Terrible pokes, fundamentals, terrible frames. But again, fundamentals not that needed in beginner and intermediate. But yes, this character will trump Yoshi. This type of character will trump Yoshi. And Hwoarang, we'll see where he ends up. But so that's it. This is the official online tier list. Thanks to the... on YouTube, I will, in the description, link the documents, the Google Docs, so you can read it yourself and see the data. And I will give credit to the person who put all of this together. Great job. But yes, these are the online win rates. So again, Leroy is the top of that tier list as well. And as you can see, it is more favored online and in the large player base to be a little bit more of a gimmicky and simplistic character like, Claudio, Alisa, Anna, Kuma, Lucky Chloe. All of these characters we would put at the bottom of a pro player tier list. They do the job. Eliza, Eddie, Katarina, and again, Nina. People like to say she's terrible, but super strong tool set for the master. For 5 million players, Nina is a nightmare, and for the 5 players who go to Evo, she's not a threat. So it's very interesting looking at Tekken like this and seeing, what happens in the different worlds of Tekken: beginner, intermediate, high level, and professional level. Very interesting, and I hope everyone enjoyed my little reading there of this data, these characters. And everyone on YouTube, have a lovely day. Everyone in the chat, go fuck yourself.